Welcome to The Release Show. I'm your host, Brittany Sconyers. On today's show, we have Joresa Blount, author, host, speaker, and founder of GoFlyy. She is a self-made woman who's opening the doors for women of color. She released her first book, I Choose Me, Coming Back From Heartbreak and Other Bad Relationships, in December of 2016. The book is her call to action for women to stop compromising their purpose with toxic relationships. She also created a digital talk show, the Comeback Series, to help spread her message of taking your greatest setback to propel you forward to greatness. Let's welcome Joresa Blount.
Hi, thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here.
Oh, me too. I'm happy to have you on the show.
This is really awesome.
Thank you. For some people, the word family can bring to mind an array of positive emotions. At the same time, others from toxic background feel the direct opposite. Please tell me about your family dynamic growing up.
Oh, wow. My family dynamic. So I was raised by a single mom, a single parent, and I live with my older brother and sister. I would say, growing up, I was an overachiever, and mainly because my father wasn't there. And it took me, honestly, up into adulthood very recently when I started to do a deeper dive into therapy of how those issues have affected me now. My mother was very loving. My best friend, she passed in 2012. She was a hard worker. That's the one thing that I take from her. She would work 3 jobs. I would hardly see her sometimes. She was very loving, and she always gave her 100% of what she had to give. And you don't get to see certain things until you get older, or understand certain things. But she was not raised by her mom. She wasn't raised by her father. She was raised by her aunt. And I understood that deficit of being loved by the two people that should love you first. It impacted how she loved us. So you have that space that needs to be filled up. You overlove, and so I feel like she loved us so much because she didn't get the love that she needed and deserved as a child.
I know I have mentioned this to you before, but I feel like we have so many similarities about our lives. It's like unrealistic. I grew up in a single parent home too. My father, I wouldn't say he wasn't in my life, he was in and out of my life. I did know who he was, but I will say the lack of the love that I received made me be over loving to my daughters. So I truly get that point. It is so true. When you're lacking a piece of that love, you want to then be overly loving because of the love that you didn't receive growing up.
Yeah.
The emotional impact of an absentee dad can be long lasting and has the potential to interfere with healthy relationships in adulthood. Do you think that growing up without a father made you needier in relationships because you were trying to fill the void for the missing piece in your life?
That's an interesting question. I think if you had asked me that question 10 years ago, I would say yes, that I was needier. But as I've gotten older and I've understood that it wasn't that I was needier in relationships. I was settling a lot in relationships that did not give me what I fully deserved. It is a term that I had dealt with so many times, not just with people. I did have a guy tell me that once, that I wrote about in my book, about being needy. But no, I wouldn't say I was needier, but it was love that I needed. Now, where should that love have come from? A lot should have came from myself. I needed myself more. I also needed to not settle for anyone who showed up representing love. whether it was a good example of love or not. But it was love that I did need. I did need that love.
Right. Do you think
So
a lot of I'm sorry, go
no,
ahead.
go ahead. That's it.
Do you think a lot of the choices you made in relationships were because you grew up without a father that would have helped guide you to understand men more?
Absolutely, absolutely. I think I just and not just I do talk about my father, but not just my father. I would say my mother too, just parenting, period, and not being able to understand what does a healthy relationship look like. What does it look like for a woman to be loved? I didn't get to see that. What does it look like to choose healthy love? I didn't see that. I didn't get to learn that. I didn't get to learn about boundaries. I didn't get to learn about standards. I didn't get to learn about, you know, again, about that self-care, about being able to look at yourself and to say that you are amazing and you are beautiful. And when people don't agree with that, that's their problem, not yours. I didn't get to learn that at a younger age. It was something that I had to learn over time through today, through adulthood. Is something that, it's a continuous education because, you know, you live long enough, you'll be in certain situations that will test whether you are deserving, whether and meaning, do you deserve this opportunity? Do you deserve this promotion? Do you deserve this love? Do you deserve this car? Do you deserve to make a lot of money? Do you deserve, all of those things are fully connected to the love you received as a child. All of
Yes.
those things, every single one. And so, yeah, it's definitely been a discovery. It's been a journey, and it'll be a continuous journey. But was definitely affected by not getting that love and support by my dad.
That's so true. Why do you think it's hard for people to give love?
I can say with my dad, I had to learn that he was loving me at the capacity that he knew how to love. And and again, even with my mom, her mom not being around, her father not being around, it's like, how can you be how can you be loving when no one loved you? It's like you have to get to your own place of loving yourself. You have to get to that own place of healthiness, of filling yourself up so that you can love others. So it's a domino effect when it comes to family and it comes to children and then their children and their children and their relationships and their friends and who they choose to be in their life. So I definitely have given more grace as I've become an adult because I understand that that was the best of that. And honestly, I don't know if I would actually be where I am had he been more present in my life. So there's always a blessing in the things that you didn't get. And
You know what? That's powerful that you say that because I feel like I wouldn't have either personally. Had my father been more present in my life, I don't think I would have reached the success that I have so far because any little change in your life will guide you in a different direction. So I'm happy with what I was given because I love my parents both. They may have shown me the love that I wanted growing up, but I love them dearly. I understood when I got older that they had issues that they were going through too. So they weren't receiving the same love that I expected from them. So it was hard for them to give me that love too. So I definitely understand. And as being a parent now too, I definitely really understand. Yes.
I don't have children yet. I haven't had my own child yet, I should say.
Okay.
And but I do look forward to that. And what I hear most often about that is that it's really like a mirror to you. It really tests, your values, the things that you've built up on the inside when you have like that little person that looks like you that's leaning on you. So I can imagine.
That is so true. What words of encouragement would you like to give women who have experienced growing up without a father?
I would say, therapy has definitely been a staple in my life. It's hard to address it because I think, the results of that comes out in so many different ways. But I would say that it's not your fault that he is not around, or didn't decide to be around, or didn't decide to support you. It's not your fault if he doesn't call for your birthday or for those special moments. It's not your fault that, you didn't get to be the baby girl, the little girl that you wanted to be. And it doesn't mean that you can't have a proper or a relationship with your father. You can still have but use that energy to that hurt, that pain, use it to love on yourself. And I'm really, really mean that. And I know people say that like just so loosely, but use it to love on yourself. And don't wait for that person that wasn't there to validate you to fill that void, because you may never get it. And once you become an adult, I don't know if you can ever be that little girl, I don't know if you'll ever be able to experience that, but you can experience having a healthy adult relationship with whichever parent that was absent. Yeah, I would say therapy, set boundaries, love yourself, heal those wounds, and yeah, be open to an adult relationship with that missing parent.
Thank you for those encouraging words. Definitely think healing is definitely something that we all have to experience in order to overcome that feeling in our lives. Let's talk about your book, I Choose Me. What compelled you to compose this masterpiece?
Thank you. I really wanted to be honest with you, I was really looking to do some speaking engagements. And so I'm huge at like researching, right?
Okay.
Like I really want I am a double Capricorn. So when I really want something, I really, really want it. And I was researching and I was like, wow, most speakers have a book.
Okay.
I got to write a book, right? And I had already started the show, the Comeback series, and I decided to add a book. And it took me a year to get it down. I definitely had sketched it out to be this huge book, and I just had to say, you know what? Let's just start with a smaller version of my story because I was so overwhelmed. And it's really hard because when you're writing a book about your life, that means that now that I've healed in these certain areas, I now have to go back and like remember time and go back through it and go through the parts that really hurt me that I feel like I have I feel from. So the catalyst was I wanted to get speaking engagements, and I didn't realize how many women would be connected to the story, because like you, I've had so many people like, oh my God, my mom was the same way. Oh my God, I dated Tom, I dated a Tom, and I dated a Harry, and and it's like, wow, which is great. There's also a testament to there's a lot of healing that needs to happen, because if we're all having these experiences, like something's off. Not just with women, that means something's off with the men too.
Yes.
Because why are they loving this way? Or why are they being like this towards women? Like there's a dynamic that's off on both sides, the man and the woman. So yeah.
That is so true because we often think about, oh, the fatherless woman, but what about the fatherless male? You
Exactly.
know,
Exactly.
they're affected by that love as well. And so a lot of their responses in relationships are coming from hurt and pain too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's
The,
very true.
the overview of your book says that it is written to inspire every woman that has experienced disappointment, heartbreak, and setbacks. Why did you choose this target? Why did you choose to target this group of individuals?
Because I believe in the comeback. I really do. I mean, I think that's again another lesson that I learned from my mom is, I am definitely that person that has been through a lot of, you know, bad, not just really, just like, I've had a lot of valleys, and I
Mm,
believe in the true comeback. Um, you know, I think one of the things that I had struggled with so long is feeling like I well, let me back up. So a thing that happens, at least in our community that I know, actually, I think it happens to all women, is that, you're taught that, oh, you need to get your life together. You need to travel.
mm,
You need to work on yourself before you can get love. You need to stop, thinking about love and it'll come. You need to, get that degree, and you need to get this, and you need to fix everything that's wrong with you to have
mm,
you deserve. And I just
mm,
want to say that is so not true. Yes, you should be a healthy individual. Get as healthy as you can and work on yourself. But for a long time, I felt like I had to be perfect to get
right.
the love that I deserve. And that's not
Mm,
true, because I feel like when you find your match, when you find that person that is your person, those parts of yourself that you cannot heal yourself, because I feel like there are parts of you that you will not be able to heal yourself, no matter the therapy. That person will help you
mm,
heal those other parts of you that you could not touch by yourself. And so for that woman that has felt broken, that has been told that they're unlovable, or they feel unlovable, or someone didn't show up for them, that woman, or life has just, it feels like life has just dealt you the most awful hand. You can create your own comeback.
mhm,
Do it one step at a time. It ain't gonna be pretty. It's not gonna be easy. It's not gonna happen tomorrow. It's not gonna happen 3 months from now. It is a complete journey that never stops happening, but you can decide at any moment, any second, that I don't want to be this person anymore. I don't want to be here anymore. Like, I
mhm.
deserve more.
More.
Like, that's the woman that I want to talk to.
The aim of every book, whether a novel or physics textbook, is to teach the reader something. What should readers expect to learn from reading your book?
I want them to learn how to create healthy boundaries with people. There's a section, um, there's a section in the book, I do talk about a lot of relationships. I talk about my father. I also talk about the dynamics of work, work relationships, working with other people who, I guess you want to label them as haters or whatever you want to do. Um, I want people to learn how to make healthy boundaries, and to understand what toxic relationships look like. And if you're in one, you need to set a healthy boundary. And in
Mm.
order to set a healthy boundary, you got to heal something inside of you.
All right.
Um, mhm.
Go ahead.
I I don't I remember the woman I used to be in those relationships. And at this place in my life, there is absolutely nothing, not no one, not nothing that could make me go back to being her. That was
Mm,
a lower vibration of who I am. And I want people to learn that they can reinvent themselves
mhm.
whenever they're ready.
Yes. So let's talk about your relationship with Harry. What made you stay in this relationship after seeing so many red flags?
Um, you know, again, it's that relationship with yourself. And I'm always a person who looks at the good things and then focus in on that and then try to make peace with all of the bad things and all of the things that really really shouldn't be tolerated, right? Um, and that's why I stayed with all three of those men because again, I was struggling with wanting to be loved.
Mhm.
I wanted to be loved. And if that meant that I had to be a martyr to who I am, if I had to compromise completely compromised the things that I wanted, the things that I believed in, then I did it, because I wanted to say, no, I'm not leaving. I'm not leaving. I can love you. I can, get through this with you. I can, and that's just unhealthy. Yeah. So I stayed way too long in all of those situations. And I don't even know if they were relationships, but in all of those situations, I overstayed because I wanted to prove that I was worth being loved.
Mm, that's powerful.
Yeah.
Well, no partner or parent decides to be toxic. Some act this way. What advice would you give to people that are currently living with a toxic individual or individuals?
Living with them? Mm. Well, if they have to live with them, um, I have to go back to the boundaries and being detached and putting, if it's things that they're saying, things that they're doing, you have to put it in its proper place. You have to know that it doesn't have anything to do with you. It's the storm, it's the war that's going on inside of that person that they're
Mm,
trying to place on you. You have to know that you cannot be responsible for someone else's happiness. You can't be responsible for anyone else's actions. And so you have to make it's a boundary. You have to make
mhm,
a boundary with that person. And that boundary is mostly mental of knowing that, now when I hear people say things, it just like really bounces off of me because I'm very quick to recognize that's not
mhm,
me. I have to know myself. I have to know who I am. I have to know how I show up. I have to know that when I say things, these are my intention. And I have to be strong in that. It doesn't mean that I'm not flexible if I hurt someone, but I have to be strong in that and knowing that no, that's not true. It's not true that I did that. That's not true. And I'm also learning to use my voice more because even
mm.
though I say it in my head, I also have to say it to you to let you know that's not true. So now you need to take a moment and you need to reflect and you need to look deep inside yourself to figure out why do you keep doing these things? Why do you keep saying these things? Because it's not me, it's you.
The term toxic is quite popular on the internet, and the possibility of misusing the word on a person is relatively high. For this reason, I like to know some of the best ways to identify a toxic person or family member. What traits do they often exhibit?
Oh wow, that's a hard question. I would say um someone who constantly deflects, if they are blaming you for their actions
Mm,
and they don't take ownership of, why whatever is happening, if they don't take any type of ownership is a huge red flag for me. It's okay to do something bad, or, it's okay to make a mistake, but can you show up and say, you know what I said to you was not right. I
Mm-hmm.
shouldn't have said that. That that makes a difference. Um, someone who can be very straightforward about that, and not just wanting to move on to the next moment. I really hate that. It's like,
Yeah,
you did something, you have to address it with
that's
me.
it.
You have to address it. Um, I think there's a lot of things. I think there's a lot of red flags on recognizing toxicity. I just probably not the best person to like list it out, but you know, when things don't feel good, sometimes that we overlook that gut feeling,
Mm-hmm.
that feeling here, that feeling in your stomach of,
Yes.
yeah, what they said, what they did, that doesn't feel right.
Right.
You know, I think those are moments that you can question and want to look deeper into, is this toxic? You know, I would also say too, I want to add, like, the way you discuss those things is
Okay.
so important. The delivery
Mm.
of how
Yes.
you express yourself, um, name calling is
Mm.
toxic. A person who doesn't want to, they don't want to take in any constructive criticism. They just immediately like, no, no, like, that is also a behavior that I think is emotionally immature. um in order for you to grow, I think it is to your benefit to listen, to weigh out what the person is saying. If it's not true to you, that's fine. But at least I'm a huge self-evaluator. I like to self-evaluate. I like to ask people. I like to really think deeply. You're an introvert, so I'm sure you get that. I like to think deeply, even if I have an argument with a person. Okay, did I cause that? Did I
Yes.
if you're a person that just like thinks everyone else is the blame, I would say that's toxic behavior too.
Yeah. Anytime I get into an argument, I always try to identify, why did the argument happen?
Mhm.
Was it something that I did, something I can do better?
Yeah.
Because I don't like arguing. I can't. Like, that's something I just totally disagree with.
Yeah.
Is confrontation. I do not like it. I like to walk away from it, and that's not the best thing to do. Sometimes it's good to release yourselves, but definitely.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Mhm.
let's talk about where you are today. What inspired you to become a motivational speaker and a voice in entrepreneurship?
So prior to writing the book, I had started blogging, which was something that like I did not want to do. I really felt like, I not felt like, but God was like, no, you need to start a blog. This was 2015. And I started to write about different things. And then I started working with a company who asked me to cover startups in Silicon Valley and entrepreneurship and et cetera, et cetera. And, and me growing up, entrepreneurship was not anything that was sexy, right?
Right.
Entrepreneurship has become sexy in the last like few years. But as I started to interview people, it got me so excited listening to these people solving these huge problems, starting these huge companies with like nothing and like making a huge impact. And, I feel like I had always been an entrepreneur myself, but
Mm.
I, got into you have to have a job, you got to have a job.
Mm.
And so I like to encourage other people, you know, whether, there's an entrepreneur, if you want to be an entrepreneur at work, fine. But I always feel like you should always have something that's yours. That is my
Mhm.
true feeling. I think it's great to watch people climb the ranks of corporate America. I just always feel like you should always have something that you can pass on to your family. And I like to help women, not just encourage them, but I want to help them like connect the dots. If I can be part of that for them, that's a gift for me. I want people, especially women that look like me, Black women,
Mhm.
minority women, who don't. We're late to the entrepreneurship game in a way,
Right.
in a sense. I
Mhm.
mean, we've always done small businesses, but we're late to the venture capital conversation. We're
Mhm.
late to having these Fortune 500. We're late to that because we just were never invited to the table. And so I just think, especially now in 2020, not only are we demanding to be invited to the table, but we're building our own tables and we're inviting people that look like ourselves. And that is important to me, to be able to say, hey, I know, one of my greatest moments was being able to connect an entrepreneur to a venture capital that she may have never would have been in the same room with. It's
Mhm.
like we don't even get invited into those rooms, and we have to create
Mhm.
those spaces where we have access to those people.
So you created a life-changing digital talk show called the Comeback Series to
Mhm.
help spread your message of taking your greatest setback to propel you forward to greatness. Please tell me more about your show and how it has influenced lives.
So it probably influenced me the most. So I started the Comeback Series in a really it was kind of a dark moment for me, but I had been asking God, because I had a digital show before that in New York, and I had been asking God. I was like, God, I really want to have another show. I really want to have another show. I really want to have, and it sounds so easy, but it just wasn't. I just felt creatively blocked. And so as I kept asking God for this other platform, what he gave me was adversity. So that year, I had had a major surgery. I went through a lot of loss when it came to friendships. I had a romantic relationship loss. He gave me adversity. And so I was literally looking on YouTube, on blogs, for people who had a comeback story. I was looking for encouragement.
Mm.
And then I just one day was like, "Oh, I can't find it, so I think I have to create it." And
Great.
so I created the show, and so and because that's funny how God works. You ask him for something, he's like, "Okay, here you go." It doesn't look like it, but that's what it was. Um, talking to women, because I focus on women's stories, talking to women who have had a comeback, who have, thought that life was going in one direction and it actually propelled them into another direction. I think are stories that are, evergreen, just like this platform here. We all will no one goes through this life without having a setback. No one. No one is exempt from that, whether big or small. And that can be debatable because everyone has their limits, but it's something that not only did I want to bring to other people, but truly I needed it for myself, because I
Mm.
needed to see other women win after
Mhm.
having a setback. I needed to see that it was a possibility, because this life will test you.
Oh,
You know,
yes.
it will test you to the point of you just like, I have moments of being very angry with God, like, why is this happening to me? And not even like, months, but just long stretches of time where it's like, God, what is really happening?
Mm.
And I think God shows up in different ways. And for me, it was creating the show. It was putting my creativity into something that could could not only be healing to me, but also be a platform for those women to tell their stories that they needed to tell, that they may not have been able to tell, and for the women and the people that watch the show to also be encouraged by it.
That is so amazing, because the same thing happened with me. Mm-hmm. I was asking God, why do people come to me and feel so comfortable talking about their lives to me? Like, why? I never understood that. People will come to me to help them, get out of situations, to give them advice. And I'm like, why me? I never understood why it was me. I remember being on airplane a couple of times, and the person beside me would just open up to me about their life, but it wouldn't be like simple things, It was like deep things. And I just couldn't understand it. I just really couldn't understand why. So about 2 years ago, God gave me the idea to create a show. And I didn't feel like I was in the headspace at that point, because I just had too much going on. I really didn't want to start it, and I didn't want to start it and stop it. That was my thing. So in February, I was actually going to do in-person shows where people meet me at this Airbnb. We record at live like that. And then COVID happened. And then I'm like, okay, you give me this dream, I want to do it. And then now this happens. So then he gave me the idea to do it virtually. And virtually, I'm able to connect with people all around the world, which is so much bigger than what I was thinking. So a lot of times you think you have it all together and you want to do things your way, but God will show up and show you how to do it his way. And so I'm so happy that I created this show, because I want people to come in and tell their stories to inspire other people. And that's the whole point of the show, is to get inspiration from somebody else's story. You never know who is stuck in a place where they need help, and just hearing some positive words or just hearing your story will just get them out of that funk that they're in and push them to where they need to go in life. So continue doing what you're doing, because that's beautiful. I love the comeback series.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
It's really important. No story is too small. You just never know how you, like you just said, that you never know how you touch someone. You think that your story may be small, it's not impactful, but there are so many people who are hungry to hear those stories that just give them that little push that they needed. Like, it could be in that very moment. That's why people scroll through Instagram. That's why people scroll through, Facebook. Yeah, we want to know what's happening in the world, but I mean, I don't know, but I follow a lot of people that give me encouragement, because I need it. Like, I have so many things saved where I'm like, I might need this next week. You know what I mean? I might need this tomorrow.
Yes.
But in 30 seconds, it could take me to another place that I wasn't in just a minute ago. So it's really important for us all to tell our stories.
That is so true. Please let everyone know how they connect with you.
Yes, I am on every platform, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at Joresa B. Please connect with me. We'd love to hear from you. And let's continue this journey together.
Yes. Thank you so much for sharing your story with us today. Thank you for being on this show, and I look forward to seeing more of your work in the future. Thanks for tuning in to The Release Show. See you next time. Bye.